Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. Today is a fun video on making and designing your own paper. So I wanted something spring-like, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of bees, and I decided to turn on the camera while I doodle and paint and take you along with me, and hopefully it inspires you to create your own artwork and your own little papers. Sometimes you can get beautiful digital papers or 12 by 12 pads, and then other times you just can't find what you're looking for, or you're in the mood to make it yourself. So this is a great way to practice your watercolors or your inking, your drawing skills, your stamps, whatever creative inspiration you have around your desk. So for the first couple flowers, I'm drawing real time, and then it speeds up just a smidge, but you can slow down the video. There is a setting that you can change. It just distorts the sound, so you'd have to probably mute it or it will drive you nuts. I am just doing a soft little flower here, almost like a cherry blossom, but not really. I'm just doodling out of my head. And the honeybees that I put in obviously are not to scale, so this paper is purely decorative. So I'll probably be playing some music in between and then stopping and explaining some other things that I'm doing. So just to give you an example or an idea of what we're going to do, we're just going to do some random flower sketches in different directions, and then we're going to sketch in some cute little tiny honeybees. And then towards the end of the video, we're going to use up this paper. And I think it turns out really pretty. So I hope you stick around. I hope you grab a pen and paper, and let's get started. So these are using, what's it called? Micron 0.1, and this is a gray color, which is kind of nice because it almost looks like pencil. So if you want to be able to erase your lines or make the pencil drawing more obscure in your watercolor, because once you put watercolor over top of it, you won't be able to erase any lines. So obviously this is pen. I don't plan on erasing anything, but if you do, use a pencil, and then when you've got your design drawn down, go ahead and use a kneaded eraser to remove the majority of that pencil, and you can still see the lines. It's a great technique to use if you are not wanting to see the pencil marks in your watercolor. This is a very loose approach. The more sketchy is the look I'm after. I want it to look like I drew it and painted it myself. I want it to have that sketchy vibe. What I do want to achieve is balance. I want to make sure there's enough design throughout. So while you're designing your papers or your drawings at this point, you want to make sure that where you put different elements is balanced through the whole thing. So this is almost like a repeat pattern type of drawing, like a wallpaper, as opposed to an actual bouquet of flowers, if that makes sense. This is just a flat sheet of flowers. I'll have images coming in from the side of the paper, so it looks like almost if you were to cut it and slice it, you could wallpaper it. I hope that makes sense as well. And you can do anything, obviously, any kind of flowers, petals, leaves, bugs. Be really cute to do this with a little, what's that guy called? I just did a video on him the other day, little ladybug. So all kinds of fun color combinations. I'm going to work with yellow and green today, a little bit of ink, stamps, and some glue and some paper, and obviously some watercolor. So I'm going to leave you here, and I will join you again in a bit. So I have the majority of my design now down. So now I want to figure out how to fill in these empty negative spaces at the top and edges of the page. So as you can see, I'm bringing the design into the page as opposed to working the design out of the page. And I think that makes it more of a wallpaper feel. So if you were to repeat this page, you could kind of glue it on top of each other. And then I want to make sure I add in more bees. Like I said, they're very tiny, just cutesy little bees, nothing too serious. But they're going to be that little splash of yellow throughout that I want. And I want to make sure that I add enough bees in. So later I add more bees as I watercolor because I realize there's a few spots I've missed the bees. And also I pretty much drew them all in the same direction, which I didn't notice until I was coloring them in. So a few things to note when you are designing your paper. Remember, this is meant to be fun and loose and relaxing. This is not something where you have to master it on your first go. If the paper doesn't work out the way you want, you just chop it up into different paper and use it in a different way as opposed to a focal point, which is what I'm hoping this paper will turn out to be. But there are many times I paint or draw and it just doesn't turn out and it just gets recycled. And that way I find it takes the pressure off making something perfect, the pressure off of doing something productive in a way that results in a masterpiece, and then having that additional stress on top while you're drawing. I have a little bit of anxiety when I draw with the camera rolling, which is why my drawings look a little bit rushed. I feel like I don't want to take forever to draw a video, but at the same time, I have to teach myself to slow down while the camera's rolling and let people decide whether they want to watch something really long or if they want to fast forward me. It's difficult when you're a YouTube content creator because you want to please everybody, and it's just impossible to do. So I'm slowly learning that. I will get there. I will master my videos where I am really happy with them. It's, like I said, a difficult thing to do. But here we are watercoloring now. So I'm using a Paul Rubens set. As you can see, my palette is always a mess. I do like to mix muddy colors sometimes in watercolor, so I rarely clean my palette. I'm using yellows here with a little bit of green in it, and I'm just slapping on the paint on the flower. It really is a quick technique. I am literally just dabbing the color on. I don't care if I stay in the lines or go out of the lines. It's just very loose. I'm using a number 10 watercolor brush here. And I do a light wash of a yellowy green color, and then I go in with a more saturated yellow in the middle. And that's all I basically do. I do go back with a brighter yellow later after I've done the bees because I want to kind of harmonize the color palette. But it's that simple. So now I'm using a number 2, I believe it is. Yes, a number 2 watercolor paintbrush. And I've mixed a dirty green. I call it a dirty green. It's a random selection of greens with a little bit of red thrown in or a little bit of brown. And it turns this kind of pretty olivey color, which is my favorite kind of green. And now I'm just filling it in. I leave a little white space here and there. But otherwise, I am just painting in my leaves really quickly. This is fast forward, but it's not super fast forward. So I am painting rather quick here and I'm not thinking about it. I try not to overthink my paintings or I get frustrated, and then that trying to make it perfect kicks in and then nothing ends up good. So I'm just painting in the leaves, pull off some color here and there, saturate some extra, and then I will put some bright colors in for the bee, the bright yellow, and I mix in a more of a yellowy green for the leaves around the flowers. And I'll see you at the end of this. So now I'm just using my big brush and I'm just going to create a little bit of splatter just for some fun. It will soften as it dries. It won't be quite as bright as this. And I'm going to throw some yellow in there and some green. And now I'm going to flip it around and use that other part of the page. So instead of creating two big pages, for the video, I just wanted to show you how you can create a background color and a focal page just using a page. But you can, of course, do full sheets of either one and more designs. And what's really fun about this is if you fall in love with what you've created, you can scan them and save them and print them whenever you need them. You can even sell them as digital kits. So have fun with it. Try not to think about that part when you're painting because it can stress you out, but just have fun with your mediums and create whatever appeals to you. Maybe you like mixed media, you know, whatever works, throw it down on the paper. So while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm quite impatient and figure my paints are out. Let's do some little bees. So I'm just going to paint some bees here. And this is a very loose approach again. I'm not very good at painting animals specifically. I'm better at drawing them, or insects for this instance. I'm better at drawing things than I am painting. With watercolor, I can paint acrylic much better than watercolor. So this is not a tutorial on how to do this because I'm not the best at it. But you can see I'm just drawing with my small little brush. And I think that's a number 1 I'm using, a number 1 watercolor brush. And then I just kind of wet the brush and pull the wings out, and just create my own little bee. And I find they went a little dark, so I'm going to use my brush to remove some of that color. And I want kind of a very wet, feathery, watery look on these bees. I don't want to go into super, super detail. So if you have something like metallic paints here, you could do their bee wings in metallic. You can really have fun. So I do the outline in this Payne's Gray, put the details in like the legs and the antennae, and then I let it dry for a few seconds. It's still pretty wet when I apply the yellow, and then a smidge of orange, just to kind of make it look a little bit more like a honeybee as opposed to a wasp. And then I just repeat the pattern a few different directions and positions, and then I have a couple of focal point bigger bees, again, which you can scan and reuse. So those turned out kind of fun. I do like the feathery effect to those. So back to our paper, it's just about dry. I'm just going to dab off the little bit of wet that's left. I don't have one of those dryers, and I'm trying to film this video before I go to work, so I want to get moving on it. So I pulled out a few stamps. I apologize, don't have links or names to these stamps, but you can use anything you have. I like stamps that have some interesting bold text as well as some linear lines in it. So I'm just using this stamp here, and I'm using some archival ink. I'm just going kind of random. I'm not stamping the whole stamp, just bits and pieces of it, and to break up that paper. So it's just added another little dimension. And for this side, I'm going very lightly with some illegible handwriting stamp just to break up and kind of unify the paper. So there's stamping on both, even though the stamps are different. So now I'm going to cut up this focal paper that we created into different uses. So I'm going to make tags, little journaling card, a pocket, a belly band, and just have some fun. So I hope you stick around with me and see how we use this paper up. And again, I hope it gives you some inspiration. So you can see here I'm adding a stamp. I find that little white spot to blank, and so I'm just adding more in. It's that simple to manipulate your papers to do what you want them to do. And now I'm just going to add some ink to make them look a little bit older. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this part, and we'll see you at the end. So I'm just going to finish off this belly band here with our little accent bees watercolors. And I hope you liked today's video. Hope it inspired you to create your own paper. Like I said, the possibilities on this are endless. And I think the watercolor, simplified, quick painting really does add quite a pretty effect to a journal. And you can see we've built quite a few things here. We've got our tags, our pockets, our accent paper, a belly band, our low V focal point, a little full pull out, and a tag. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care, everyone. Bye.